Oops.
Hey guys, what's up? It's been a long time since I made a video where I'm just talking about one specific watch, but that's what I'm going to do today, and it's going to be this one, the Seiko SRPE 35K1, the King Samurai.
They call him Samurai.
I guess this watch has recently been discontinued by Seiko because I can no longer find it on their website. They have the white dial version of this, still being manufactured, still available brand new from them, but not the black one. So I don't know how they decided against that. It's kind of racist if you think about it, but hey, they're Japanese, you know, they don't play by our rules. So here it is, guys. I think that's actually a shame that they discontinued. I think it's a beautiful watch. And I guess we'll start off just by talking about the size. The case of this is 44.46 millimeters. I measured from here to here. I always measure across. The height is 12.68 millimeters. Pretty thin. I don't think 12.68 is big by any means for a tool watch, so I think it's actually a really nice size for most wrists. I have a 6-inch wrist, 6 inches exactly, so to me 12 inches, 12 millimeters is a pretty nice height for a tool watch. Lug to lug from here to here is 48.61 millimeters. Lug width from here to here, 22.06 millimeters. Here we go, guys. Nice close-up of this. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. It's got that beautiful waffle texture on the dial. I think that's just really, really cool. Kind of looks like a grenade. The first time that I saw this texture on a Seiko dial was on the King Turtle. And on that one, it's the same kind of deal. They have gold accents, but a green waffle pattern. And it really does look like a grenade. I thought that was really, really cool. And whereas I absolutely love a cyclops on a tool watch, I love a cyclops, but it can't be a cyclops over a day date. It's got to be a cyclops just over a date. Something about that looks really old school, and I don't know, it's almost like a real sign that it is a tool watch. And I know lots of Rolexes have cyclops on them. Forget about that for a second. But I just kind of like the idea that somewhere on some ship, some research ship or some mining ship or some oil rig, whatever, somebody was having a hard time reading the date and they're just like, ah, fuck it. Glue a magnifying glass on it. Good enough. And that kind of took off. That's how I always think the Cyclops started. I'm sure that's not how it was at all, but something about it being on a tool watch just seems very appropriate to me. But whenever Seiko did the King Turtle, they put a Cyclops over the day and the date, and that's just too much Cyclops for my taste. I can just talk about Cyclopses all day long. I'm sure no one's listening anymore, though. It's just the style, really. That's what it comes down to, is do you like this style? Do you like it more than the style of a turtle? Do you like it more than the style of, say, for instance, a Seiko Arnie that I have here? This is the SNJ025. You guys can kind of see here, size-wise, how they compare to each other. The lug-to-lug on this one's a little bit bigger. Obviously, the case diameter is a little bit bigger. But they're both doable. And like I said, I have 6-inch wrists, and they look fine on me, at least in my opinion. I don't know. I don't really think about that stuff too much. But this ceramic bezel insert is really my only problem with this watch. I don't like, see how shiny it is? I don't care for that. It's a little bit too blingy for my tastes. And I really wanted to replace that. I'm not really a watch modder, but I was like, I think I can handle replacing a bezel insert. It seems like a pretty easy thing that, you know, guys who are into watches can do. That's like where you learn to mod it. First thing you always learn to do is the bezel insert. I'm like, I'm going to do that. That's going to be a project for me. Turns out the Seiko Samurai does not have the exact same case shape as the original Samurai. It's super close. Like, you would never notice with your naked eye, but something apparently is just different enough that you can't use all the thousands of bezel inserts that have been created for the original Samurai on this. And for some reason, nobody creates bezel inserts for this. So I'm kind of stuck with the ceramic bezel insert. It is what it is. It's just a little bit too fancy looking for me, a little too shiny, like I said. But the case itself has a mixture of polish, let's see, polish and brush, which I think is actually pretty nice. It's mostly brushed, but there are a few spots that are polished, and I think that's kind of nice. Around the bezel and right here on the side and It looks like actually just about it. There's a little bit of polishing here on the crown, and I'll talk about the crown. The crown is not signed, as you guys can see, but this is one of the few times where I think that's actually okay. It looks more industrial that way to me. It's just, I don't know, really nice. And I look at this watch and I compare it, I guess, to the Rolex Submariner date. And this just has so much more character. I don't understand how anybody could look at this watch and then look at a $10,000 Rolex Submariner and say, yeah, I'm going to go with the Rolex. I guess it's important to some people to have a Rolex on their wrist and, try to show off. But to me, this just looks better. It looks better in every single way. Sticker's still on the back. I always leave the sticker on the back until I decide whether or not I'm going to sell a watch. And this time, I think I am going to sell it. And the reason for that, guys, is just I have too many watches. I was kind of on a watch buying binge for a while, and then I came to regret it, and I'm just like, oh my God, what am I going to do with all these? If I don't wear a watch all the time, I start to feel weird about having it. It's like, what is that money just sitting there in the drawer for? I'm just kind of a minimalist guy, and too many watches strikes me as a bit greedy and a bit ostentatious. So I am selling this. If any of you guys like this, I am going to sell it. I had this on an FKM vented rubber strap, which I thought was actually a really good choice. I couldn't figure out what to put this on. It comes on a stock bracelet. The white dial version of this doesn't. It comes on a rubber silicone that you would see on the Arnie. But on this, it comes on a metal bracelet that just doesn't suit the watch very well. I think that's a universal opinion. It seems like pretty much everybody online who ever talks about this particular model, first thing they do is they take that bracelet off. It just doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't fit. And I do think with all these crazy angles on the Samurai, you do want a strap on it as opposed to a bracelet. All this interesting geometry just kind of gets lost if it doesn't contrast against a rubber strap or a leather strap or I hate NATOs. I'm not going to say NATO, but maybe like a Royal Air Force one-piece strap, something like that. I think this really suits it though. It kind of looks like a combination of armor. It kind of looks like fish gills. Just something about it says to me, yes, this is the perfect style for a Seiko Samurai. That said, I did buy this as well. And this was like $20. Oops. This was like $20 on eBay. And it's a shark mesh bracelet. I'll put it on here so you guys can see. Through the magic of editing, I will show you what it looks like whenever it's attached. And I do think, as far as bracelets go, this is maybe the best case scenario. Of course, I will always stand up for and advocate for the Elongapo band that you can get from Jaffe Jurado. I think a really cool samurai-themed Elongapo bracelet would look great on this, but teach their own. I understand if you guys maybe don't want to put in the time and the money to order one of those custom from Jaffe Jurado. So I do think one of these, you can find them on eBay for like $20, $30. You got to cut it down to size though. So when I sell this, either the person I sell it to has a 6-inch wrist, otherwise this isn't going to fit them. But there it is. One more good thing and one more bad thing. The knurling on the crown is great. You really good grip. I have no complaints whatsoever about that knurling. I think they did it really, really well. But then the knurling on the bezel is really soft and slick, and your fingers just kind of slip off of it. It's not that bad. It's not that dramatic. You can, of course, turn the bezel. It's a 120-click bezel. I always prefer a 60-click bezel, but I know that that's just not a thing with Seiko. They're never going to make a 60-click bezel. It's not Citizen after all. So 120-click bezel, but really kind of hard to get a grip on. You got to squeeze it tight and then turn it. But that's what the bezel sounds like, guys. It sounds like a baby farting. So there you go. Really, really nice. Really nice watch. Not going to keep it, I don't think, but I really do like it. Really crazy cyclops too. I mean, that thing is really powerful. I really hope it's coming through. I'm not sure if... A lot of times with the cyclops, the magnification is just weak. It's almost... You almost actually can't see any magnification. I've seen watches where the cyclops is so weak that you might as well not even have a cyclops on it. But this is like... You guys can kind of see underneath the dial how small the date window is. But then... Bang! Yeah, that's how a cyclops should be done. So good job, Seiko. Really nice dial layout too, as far as Seiko on top. Then you got that nice triangle underneath, the Prospex logo, automatic underneath, and then divers 200 meter. I really hate whenever there's like a long line of text, then a short line of text, and then a medium, and then a long. It doesn't, to me, it should feel balanced and weighted, almost like a pyramid. And this watch does a great job with that. At this point, guys, though, I am just rambling. This is what happens whenever you don't make these videos very often. You lose the knack for it. But blah, 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 blah. Adios.
Nobody knows you. Samurai, samurai, did you ever dream, hesitate, wonder why, and all the anger you have seen? Oh, 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 oh. Samurai, samurai, does your blood run cold? No light shine in your eyes, no burning flame in your...
Come back here, you motherfucker!